Alright, what's going on, boys and girls? I hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the best supplements for bulking. But before we do that, if you're part of the 70% of people that aren't actually subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn notifications on. It really means the world to me if you enjoy the content and want to see future videos. Also, if you're feeling generous, drop a like on the video if you enjoy it. It really helps push it out there so we can add value to more people. So just a quick disclaimer, obviously I'm not a doctor, I'm not qualified to give information about supplementation, etc. So just take this as my own opinion. You should do your own research and educate yourself before you invest in supplements. Obviously you are putting something else in your body. It is just a supplement at the end of the day, it's not going to kill you, but you should still know the general basis of what a supplement does before you go ahead and invest in it. And again, before we get into the actual supplements, I just need to first clarify that you don't actually need supplements to bulk or to put on weight. Supplements should just be used to supplement your diet. It's literally in the name. You shouldn't use them to replace food. They are certainly not necessary. You don't need them to put on size. All you need to gain weight is to eat in a caloric surplus. I have a video where I went into detail about how to work out your maintenance and eat in a caloric surplus, etc. I'll leave the link for that down in the description below or just up in the top left corner now. However, that being said, supplements can obviously aid your diet a lot. They can really help the process of bulking. So in this video, I'm first going to talk about what supplements you don't need for bulking, what supplements you do need for bulking, and then what other supplements that you don't really need but could also be useful. So now let's get straight into it. So the first supplement that I just don't think you need for bulking at all is BCAAs, or branched chain amino acids. These are exactly what it sounds like. They're just amino acids that help encourage the process of protein synthesis, which obviously sounds all well and good and everything, but if you're eating in a high caloric surplus or you're just in a caloric surplus in general, you're already going to have a large intake of protein and you won't really need BCAAs to help synthesize the protein you're intaking. You only really need BCAAs when you are in a very low calorie deficit and you're trying to drastically lose body fat, and obviously you need to keep your protein intake high. You need to make sure you're synthesizing as much protein as you can so you don't lose all your muscle. So yeah, for bulking, BCAAs, I just don't recommend them. I think it's a waste of money. Only really consider them if you're going to be doing a drastic cut for a bodybuilding competition or just to get really, really lean or something. Right, the second supplement you do not need for bulking, and in my opinion you don't need in general at all ever, is any sort of testosterone supplement that's supposedly going to aid your testosterone or boost your natural testosterone levels. Trust me, pretty much 99% of testosterone supplements out there on the industry are all bullshit. They're marketed just to increase your natural testosterone without having to take obviously performance enhancing drugs like steroids or SARMs. But in my opinion, testosterone boosters don't work. It's pretty much impossible to boost your testosterone naturally. Obviously there are some ways you can do it, obviously just going through puberty boost your testosterone, but you literally can't boost your testosterone levels to a significant enough level unless you are literally injecting testosterone into your body, as in steroids, anabolic steroids, or taking SARMs. So there is literally no way you can boost your testosterone naturally, at least to see a significant increase of testosterone that you would see a difference in the gym from taking these supplements. So trust me, for your own sake, don't spend all this stupid amount of money on these marketing products to boost testosterone when they're just not going to do anything. All right, anyway, now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about these supplements that are really, really useful for bulking and ones you should definitely consider buying. Again, not necessary, but ones you should definitely consider at least buying. Now the first and very obvious one is protein powder. Now protein powder is great. It just essentially means you can intake more protein more easily throughout a shake throughout the day. Again, it shouldn't be used to replace meals. I personally would always choose a good source of protein from foods like chicken or turkey, etc., meats, or any other protein source. In fact, doesn't have to just be meat, over a protein shake. However, protein shakes can be good because obviously you get towards the end of the day and you're quite full up from the amount of food you're eating. You need to hit a little bit more of protein intake because you're not quite there at your protein target. Protein shakes are great just to get that last few 20-30 grams of protein in, just to make sure you're taking in a sufficient amount of protein. There are also different types of protein. There's whey, isolate, hydrolyzed. They pretty much all do the same thing. The whey is the cheapest one. The isolate and hydrolyzed pretty much just mean, to put it simply, they're going to absorb in your body quicker. Sometimes after you have a whey protein shake, you might feel a little bit full, a little bit bloated. You don't typically really get that with the isolate and the hydrolyzed. I've never actually had hydrolyzed, but I've had isolate a few times and it is really, really good. You don't really feel like you're getting full up as much. However, obviously you are paying a lot more money for that, and at the end of the day, they all just do the same thing. It's all just protein. So in my opinion, just stick to the whey. It's the cheapest. My Protein offer loads and loads of different flavors of it, so you can't really go wrong there, and they all are quite nice as well. So moving on from protein powder, we're going on to creatine monohydrate. And now creatine is just almost like a staple for bulking, for gaining muscle, for getting stronger. It's actually the most researched supplement in the industry. So there's a lot of scientific literature and evidence backing what it does, supporting the results it can give you. Now don't get me wrong, you're not going to take creatine and all of a sudden overnight or in a week you're just going to put on like 20 pounds of muscle. No, it doesn't exactly work like that. So creatine is a naturally recurring chemical and amino acid in our bodies. We produce it, you find it in food. So essentially all you're doing by supplementing with creatine is you're having more than what your body would naturally produce or you would intake. So to actually intake the amount of creatine you'll get in food, you need to eat like such a large amount of food just to reach the same amount of creatine you get in a little scoop of supplementing it. And in my opinion, where creatine shows off the best is in its performance to allow you to get stronger, to add more reps to your sets in the gym. Yeah, it makes you physically look a little bit big, not like drastically. You probably won't even notice the difference if someone's on creatine, off creatine. In fact, you just won't in general. You might get a little tiny bit of added water retention around the muscles, maybe like half a kilo to a kilo absolute max. Obviously, physically, you know, it's not like testosterone, it's not trenbolone. You're not gonna blow up, your shoulders and traps aren't going to get massive. It is just a supplement at the end of the day. However, in my opinion, creatine really shines in performance in the gym. So essentially, to break it down real quick, it helps convert ADP into more ATP, which essentially just allows for more energy release during physical exertion. So it means when you get to those high rep sets, you know, say you've just done 12, 15 reps of chest press, you might be able to squeeze out 1 or 2 more being on creatine just because you've got that little bit more energy conversion and you might just feel a little bit stronger in the gym. So in my opinion, that's where creatine shines the most, which is obviously really important because if you're trying to progressive overload in the gym, you're trying to get stronger, which is the fundamentals to actually get stronger and to put on muscle in the gym. Obviously you need to be progressive overloading. Creatine can really help with that. Also, I forgot to add on creatine. The only creatine you need is creatine monohydrate from MyProtein or another trusted source. You don't need any of this or like creatinine or any other types of creatine. They're pretty much just companies trying to sell you a supposedly good form of creatine, a better form of creatine that's meant to promise better results, but don't buy into any of that. Just get creatine monohydrate. It's the best and most researched form you can get. So yeah, and it's also the cheapest, so definitely stick with that. So the last supplement that I think you should definitely consider buying for bulking and putting on weight and size, it's a bit of a controversial one, and it is pre-workout. Now I really like pre-workout as a supplement in general, almost for the same reason what creatine monohydrate is, because it really helps you aid in your progressive overload in the gym. And I honestly believe, well, not just me, but the science proves that the basics, the very fundamentals of getting stronger, getting bigger in the gym is linear progressive overload, adding more volume, whether that's adding a set, a rep, increasing the weight even by a tiny bit each week. That is literally how you get bigger. It's how you get stronger. I've made a video on that as well in the past. I'll leave a link to that down in the description. So pre-workout is really, really good for those heavy sessions. But say you're in your second to last or last week of your training block, your training cycle, and you know you've got some heavy weights to lift, especially if you are trying to do power building or powerlifting and trying to get stronger. Obviously, the added caffeine and all the ingredients in a pre-workout can really aid to you lifting more weight. The only thing with pre-workout is obviously it contains caffeine, and with caffeine you build up a tolerance to it. So if you buy a pre-workout and you're taking it consistently every day, every other day, eventually you're going to hit a point where it's just not really going to have effect on you anymore. And you're going to have to take a large quantity of the pre-workout in order to reach the same effect as when you first start taking it. And obviously, the more pre-workout you take, the more dangerous it becomes because you don't want a huge amount of caffeine in your system. So obviously that can cause things like cardiac arrest, and we don't want any of that happening to you. But I promise, if you use pre-workout wisely and you use it like 2-3 times a week max, only on the sessions where you feel like you really need it, so you've had a long day at work and you know you need to hit certain numbers in gym. Pre-workouts can be really good if utilised optimally, but obviously just don't go crazy with it and be careful what pre-workout you are getting. Some are very, very strong, believe me. I've had some that I've crashed off hard, some have like nearly made it impossible for me to train. Others don't really have any caffeine content at all, but yeah, definitely consider pre-workouts for bulking. Right, now I'm going to talk about a few other supplements which could be useful but you don't really need. I've taken a few of them in the past. I don't recommend that you need to have them like I just said, but obviously they could help if you have the extra money to spend and you really want to optimize your results for putting on weight and gaining muscle. So the first one is weight gainer blends or weight gainer shakes. Now weight gainers are really good from sources like MyProtein, etc. because obviously they have a high amount of calories in the actual shake, you know, so you're going to be getting a lot more calories than what you normally would in a protein shake. You're going to be getting a high amount of carbs, high amount of protein, obviously some fats in there as well. It's just gonna make bulking a little bit easier. If you're someone that really, really struggles to put on weight and to get all the calories you need to each day to be in a caloric surplus, obviously weight gainers are gonna be very good. It's gonna help you get a large quantity of calories in a very short period of time. It's obviously not gonna get as full up as what you would do if you consume the same amount of calories in food. However, the reason I think you don't need weight gainer blends is because you can literally make your own. All it really is protein powder and some other carby sources thrown in there. So you can literally just make your own like calorific protein shake at home. Just add protein powder, milk, put some oats in there, a bit of ice cream, anything to make it more caloric, blend it all up, and you've literally made your own weight gainer shake for so much cheaper. So I'd only really recommend weight gainer blends if you have the extra money to spend. Don't go around throwing your money at it if you don't really have the money to spend on it, because you can literally just make your own weight gainer blends. Obviously you can make healthier shakes as well. You don't need to add ice cream stuff. That's just what I've typically done in the past. Obviously, if you can add stuff like fruit, it's a lot healthier and also quite calorific. So definitely explore your options around what you can do at home to make blended shakes before buying into a weight gainer. Next up, we've got a multivitamin. Now, I've only taken one before, and I think it's the Alpha Men from MyProtein. Again, you don't need this at all. If you're bulking, in fact, you should be able to get all the micronutrients, all the vitamins, minerals that you need from just intaking a large surplus. You shouldn't really need this. But if you're someone that really struggles to eat your fruit and veg and drink a lot of water and stuff, obviously a multivitamin can be good just for general health. Again, from what I'm aware, it doesn't really have any impact on how you put on size or getting bigger. It's just from a general health standpoint. So if you do struggle to eat fruit and veg and eat a relatively healthy diet, obviously this can be good to make sure you're getting the sufficient amount of vitamins and minerals that you need in your diet. And another one similar to the multivitamin is fish oils. Now, fish oils is really good actually. I've taken it quite a few times in the past, or essentially it is just omega-3. If you don't eat a lot of fish in your diet, this is a really good one. Essentially, omega-3 just helps with joint pain. That's where I've seen it used the most. Sometimes I've had almost like tennis elbow. I get elbow tendonitis if I'm doing a lot of pushing movements in the gym. And if I take some fish oils, I will find that it will really reduce the inflammation around my joints, and it's really good for that. So just for recovery in general, fish oils are really good. Again, if you eat a bit of fish in your diet, you don't really need it. But if you don't eat any fish at all, I definitely do recommend looking at getting some fish oils or omega-3. It's also really cheap as well, so you can't really go wrong there. Okay, so the very last supplement that I would recommend for bulking, but obviously you don't need to have, is L-glutamine. Now, L-glutamine is just a general all-round good supplement for recovery. Again, it's not something you need, however, it's just going to help with that recovery, encouraging protein synthesis. If you had a really difficult session in the gym and you know you've got another heavy session the next day, L-glutamine is really good. You can actually find it in some protein powders. I know I had a protein powder from Optimum Nutrition, I think it is, Gold Standard Whey, and they have protein, BCAAs and L-glutamine in it. That's actually a really good one for the price as well. It's very tasty. But obviously you can just get the L-glutamine by itself from like MyProtein, etc. Again, you absolutely do not need that supplement at all, but it can just be really good for recovery, especially if you are lifting heavy and you need to be well rested and recovered for the next day. Alright, boys and girls, that is all from me. Let me know what supplements you would recommend down in the comments down below. If you have any other supplements that you use for bulking or supplements you like to use in general, let me know what supplements you think you're going to try for this video. Let me know how you get on with them. We're sure to answer any other questions you have about supplements down in the comments below, or you can shoot me a DM on Instagram, and my @ is @AaronRobertsonYT. So drop me a message on there. I'll be sure to get back to you and help you guys out. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see future videos or want to have a look at some of my old videos, be sure to subscribe, notifications on. Other than that, boys and girls, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.